It's amazing, isn't it? How an ancient city that vanished centuries ago can still speak to us, through the very ground beneath our feet. Like even a simple pottery shard whispering secrets from thousands of years past.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
And today we're diving deep, well, into Beit Guvrin, Mauritius. And this one is extra special because it's all based on audio you recorded.
On location, right there amidst the ruins.
Exactly. Actual guided tours and explanations from experts right there at the site.
Like we're right there walking alongside them, hearing them point things out and share their insights, and we get to bring all that to our listeners too.
So our mission today is to take all those incredible on-site observations you captured and then try to extract the most compelling details. Like we're going to find those aha moments and bring the human stories etched into those ancient stones to life. You ready to go?
Absolutely. I'm super excited to uncover what you found there.
Okay, let's do it. So where does the story of Beit Guvrin Harisha even begin?
Well, the material you sent indicates that it starts with a Canaanite presence, though definitive archaeological evidence from that exact period is still it's still being sought.
Like they knew it was there, but haven't quite pinned it down yet.
Right, exactly. But then it becomes the fortified city of Maresha later on, which is even mentioned in the Bible.
Oh, wow. In the Bible?
Huh.
As in Old Testament?
Yeah, Old Testament. Your recordings mention King Rehoboam, who, fortified it. And then there's this other mention with Joshua too, but that's a little anachronistic.
Anachronistic, meaning out of place in the timeline.
Precisely. It doesn't quite fit with our current understanding of the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, the strategic location on the hilltop, that's consistently highlighted as a key factor. It would have provided a major defensive advantage. Anyone trying to attack would have had a really tough time.
Yeah, makes sense. High ground, always a good idea back then. Like prime real estate for early settlements. So how big did this hilltop city actually get?
Well, based on the audio, the estimates range from 10,000 to 15,000 people.
Wow. So a decent-sized town?
Yeah, definitely a significant urban center.
Yeah.
And especially during the Hellenistic period, that's when it really seems to have flourished.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the period after Alexander the Great, right? Like when his influence was spreading across the region.
Exactly. And Maresha became super important during this time. In fact, one of the guides even mentions that it was the last of the Sidonian cities to fall to the Hasmoneans.
Wow. So it held out for a long time.
Yeah, it did. Must have been quite the stronghold.
Okay, so Hellenistic period.
Yeah.
And you know what really stuck out to me from the recordings? The heart-shaped pigeon roosts.
Oh, those. Yeah, pretty wild, right? It shows this amazing attention to detail even in everyday things.
They could have just made plain square roosts, but they went with heart-shaped.
It's like Hellenism was fine-tuning everything. It wasn't just about surviving, it was about aesthetics.
Yeah.
About adding a touch of beauty to even the most practical things. Like they had heart-shaped pigeon roosts, they used essential oils and perfumes. They really were a sophisticated society.
It's fascinating how these little details can really paint a picture of an entire culture. And the material you sent also mentions a lot about the trade during this time, right? Like all the imported pottery from Greece and Italy.
Yeah, tons of it. Over half of the pottery found there initially was imported.
Wow, that's huge. Really speaks to a flourishing economy.
And not just that, it also suggests a really extensive trade network and a good deal of wealth within the city.
Makes sense. You need money to be importing luxury goods like that. And wasn't there also something about the presence of slaves during this period?
Yeah, that's mentioned too. And it likely meant that some people had even more time and resources to devote to aesthetics and leisure.
It kind of makes you wonder what daily life was like for them up there on that hilltop.
Right, like a whole other world. So we have this thriving hilltop city during the Hellenistic era, but eventually things shift, and the main settlement moves down.
Down to the roads during the Roman period. Why would they leave their defensible position like that?
Well, the Roman army is the key here. With the Pax Romana, they didn't need to huddle on a hilltop anymore.
Right, the Roman peace. Their military presence basically provided a new form of security.
Exactly. Plus, being closer to the Roman roads had its advantages.
Like for trade and communication, it was way more convenient.
The audio actually points out that almost all major Roman cities were built on highways.
Well, except for Jerusalem, right?
Yeah, Jerusalem's always a bit of an exception. But for Maresha, moving down made perfect sense. It was a new era.
Okay, now let's talk about something essential for any city. Water. And according to the material you sent, Maresha had a unique challenge.
A big challenge. No natural spring.
So everything depended on rainwater harvesting.
And they took it seriously. The hill of Maresha is riddled with caves. And get this, about a third of them were used for water storage.
Wait, how many caves are we talking about?
An estimated 5,000 caves.
5,000 caves. It's mind-boggling. And to think they had to manage all those cisterns to survive. That's some serious resourcefulness.
Especially compared to places like Jerusalem or Tel Sheva.
Yeah, they had natural springs. Water wasn't such a constant worry for them.
But in Moretia, every drop counted. And there are even hints in the recordings about potential underground connections between these cisterns and other complexes.
Like a whole secret network beneath the city.
Exactly. It makes you wonder how extensive this interconnected world really was.
Okay, so let's talk about those underground complexes. I mean, wow. There's so much more than just cisterns down there.
Right. It's incredible. Columbaria for pigeons, rooms for processing grain, rock quarries, olive oil presses, all underground.
It's like a whole hidden city under the city.
Exactly. And the experts in the recordings suggest these spaces might have been interconnected, perhaps due to family ties or shared industries among neighbors.
Like imagine going from your olive oil press to your neighbor's grain storage all underground.
Right. It's practical, but also points to a tightly knit community with shared resources, maybe even social structures we're only beginning to understand.
And later on, these tunnels became super important for a different reason too, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. During times of conflict, they provided vital hiding places and secret routes.
A real lifesaver in times of trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. The material you sent also highlights an economic downturn around 170 BCE. What were the signs of that?
Well, the most obvious sign is the pottery. The amount of imported pottery from Greece decreased, while the locally produced stuff increased.
And the local stuff wasn't as nice, right?
Yeah, it was simpler and less refined. Definitely points to a decline in overall wealth.
Like they couldn't afford the fancy imported stuff anymore.
Exactly. And this shift coincides with larger changes happening in the region. The Greek Hellenistic empires were weakening and new powers were rising.
Like the Hasmoneans.
Right. This power vacuum created opportunities for them. And for cities like Maresha, this economic downturn probably made them more vulnerable.
And the Hasmonean conquest, led by John Hyrcanus, that happened around 108 BCE, right?
Yes, that's correct. And that date is actually a bit later than some earlier estimations.
Oh, interesting. So what happened to Maresha after the conquest?
Well, the archaeological evidence suggests that daily life continued in a fairly similar way. There might have been some shared cultural practices between the locals and the Hasmoneans.
Like what kind of practices?
Their recordings mention things like ritual baths or mikvot. This common ground might have made the transition smoother.
That makes sense. Less disruption if there are already some shared customs. And there's also the mention of that amazing discovery. A whole bunch of silver coins.
Oh, yeah, a real treasure. Hidden away, probably during a time of unrest.
Like someone buried them, hoping to come back for them later.
Right, exactly. But they never did. A little time capsule from a moment of crisis.
It's incredible what you can learn from something as simple as a handful of coins. Okay, let's talk about the archaeology of Beit Guvrin, Marisha. The amount of stuff they've found there must be massive, right?
It is. And the work's still going on. Every new excavation brings more insights.
And what's really cool is that they actually leave some finds undisturbed
Yeah.
for future generations, you know?
Yeah. With newer technology, who knows what amazing things they'll be able to discover. It's so responsible.
Definitely forward thinking. And there's also that graveyard of archaeological items.
Oh, right, where they collect the finds from different periods.
And visitors can actually take home shards from there.
They can. It's an amazing way to connect with the past, like holding a piece of history in your hand.
I love that idea. And for those who want to get even more hands-on, there's the Dig for a Day program.
Absolutely. It gives people a chance to experience real archaeology.
I bet that's super popular. Imagine finding something yourself. Okay, and then there are all the names for the caves.
Some are pretty random, like the Django Cave, apparently named after the movie.
That's hilarious. But then there are the more descriptive ones, like the olive oil press caves or the columbarium caves, each one telling its own little story.
Exactly. And within them, they've found things like incense altars and burners, even basalt grinding stones brought all the way from the Golan.
Wow, the Golan, that's quite a distance.
It is. Shows their trade network was pretty extensive. And then there's the graffiti, those personal messages from the past.
I know. It's like they're reaching out across the centuries. Now, there's also the concept of a terminus, a sacred defined area.
Right, and this is linked to the potential location of a Greek temple.
Can you explain that a little more?
Sure. So after the Ptolemies, the Seleucids came into power, around 200 BCE. and they built a temple dedicated to Nike, the goddess of victory.
Nike as in the shoe company.
Haha, no. Though I guess they were inspired by the same goddess.
Right, of course.
Anyway, there wasn't enough space on the hilltop for this new temple, so they created a raised area in the lower city, a terminus specifically for it.
Like a special zone set apart from the everyday hustle and bustle.
Exactly, a sacred precinct for the temple. And get this, your recording suggests that Herod the Great might have grown up near this very spot.
No way. Herod the Great. So this seemingly ordinary city could have played a role in shaping one of history's most influential figures.
It's amazing, right? Like, who would have thought?
It's incredible how all these pieces of the puzzle fit together. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Beit Guvrin Marisha, what are your biggest takeaways?
Well, first, the city's resilience. It adapted and endured through so many different periods. Canaanite, Hellenistic, Jewish, Roman, each one leaving its mark.
A real melting pot of cultures.
Absolutely. And then there's the water management. They had to be incredibly resourceful to survive without a natural spring.
Yeah, that's a testament to human ingenuity.
And of course, that amazing underground world, it gives us such a glimpse into their lives, their social structures, their economic activities. And then we have the evidence of economic and political shifts, even in something as simple as pottery.
It's amazing how even the smallest details can tell such big stories. So for our listeners, we hope this deep dive has given you a better understanding of how civilizations rise and fall, adapt and transform, how technology and social changes shape our lives, and how humans constantly strive for survival, prosperity, and even beauty.
And it makes you think, doesn't it? Just like those ancient people adapted to their changing world, what are we doing today to navigate our own era of rapid transformation? What underground developments or unseen forces are shaping our future?
It's definitely food for thought. And if this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, we encourage you to learn more, visit a museum, or maybe even plan a trip to Beit Guvrin Marisha yourself. Who knows what secrets you might uncover? Thanks for joining us on this journey. We'll see you on the next deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening.